The loss of privacy in the USA. In the USA there used to be a thing called privacy and it was a right. The government had to convince a judge to issue a warrant to search someone's property and wiretap them. There used to be laws that protected people from an invasion of privacy. After 9/11 happened, a lot of our rights and freedoms got taken away by the Patriot Act. We learned from Edward Snowden that the NSA has been spying on us using phones and the internet with backdoors in Windows and other operating systems to collect data. Even worse, free websites and startups collect information on users and sell it to raise money and use it to target the user with advertising. It collects data from the user all over the internet and sold to the highest bidder. Your privacy is sold for a lot of money to keep these startups in business. Social networks are free because they collect data on you and sell it. Read the privacy statements, many just click through them and ignore them. The more you use social networks, the more information you give them to sell on you. Your smartphone uses GPS to track where you have been and your most frequently visited locations. Every phone call you make and every text message you send is recorded. The FBI uses a Stingray device to collect data from smartphones. It is done without a warrant. It works like a cell phone tower and collects data. Even if we no longer have privacy rights, the terrorists and public shooters still manage to carry out attacks. The government has too much data by domestic spying on everyone to find the data they need to catch the terrorists and public shooters before they do something. As a result, we've lost our freedoms and rights, and are not safe either. More and more laws are passed and some will control how fast your internet connection to websites will be. Some will even censor the internet and block access to websites. Bitcoin will be targeted by laws because it competes with the US dollar and the government cannot control it. If allowed, Bitcoin will be controlled by banks with their own blockchains and being able to trace transactions so they are no longer anonymous. Windows 10 was given away for free because it collects private data on the user. Microsoft collects a lot of data and new CPUs will be designed so that they don't install older Windows versions, forcing everyone to use Windows 10. Even if you turn off tracking features, they can be reset by Windows Update. Most people are not even aware that their privacy is being invaded. They don't believe it, or they refuse to believe it, or they are ignorant of how the technology works. There will come a time when the data collected that violates privacy is used to arrest people that might possibly commit a crime as some sort of crime prevention program. Using machine learning, it can detect behavior before it happens based on the words used. This would be like that Minority Report movie and book. When George Orwell wrote 1984, he had TV sets that spied on people. Now we have smart TV sets that collect data and smartphones that collect data. The federal government is Big Brother, and domestic spying on everyone. If your data is flagged, you become a thought criminal and investigated. There isn't much you can do to get your privacy back. You'd have to get a laptop that runs Linux, you have to use proxies and virtual private networks and connect to public Wi-Fi locations to hide what you are doing. You have to go without a smartphone. You'd have to meet with people in public instead of using social networks. You'd need to write things down in a paper notebook instead of using a computer. You'd have to almost go off the grid to avoid being spied on. If you have to say I have nothing to hide, so why should it bother me, you are saying the wrong thing. Privacy is a right that we all are supposed to have. There should be no spying unless a judge issues a warrant. You have to provide some evidence of wrongdoing in order to be investigated and spied on. The startups that spy on people have made people billionaires and millionaires. It has made people rich and destroyed lives and jobs in the process. They became rich at great cost to the rest of us. The rich often exploit the poor and middle class to become rich, and invading our privacy in exchange for a free website is how the poor and middle class get ruined.